You always hear from certain people, remember who you are. Remember who you are. If you have to remember who you are, it basically implies that you forget what and who you are, right? And a lot of people aren't going to get past that remembering stage. You know what I'm saying? But again, these words that we use on each other, all right, as little vampires, are molding and shaping your reality to some extent. Everything that you hear, you're buying into some form of information. Matter of fact, who you are as an individual is a collection of everything you've actually collected in your life. So you've got personalities from all different walks of life, and it molded you to be the character that you are now, right? You're like nothing, but you decided to create your character based on the information of things you've collected outside of you, which are nothing but you, right? So when you start to hear things like know thyself, would be to know the other people. When you know the other people, you'll get to know yourself a lot more, right? So you'll hear things like, you know, videos going viral, information that gets a lot of attention, it goes viral, right? Because it's like you're a walking virus. You infect people with mind viruses every time you put out some form of information. So the information that I'm going to put out now, okay, I want you to take a very close look at how it's going to be presented, okay? See, the whole thing is that you're always going to hear certain people, and by the way, if my fingers are dirty as fuck, I just finished gardening, and it was fucking great. In fact, I'm so happy that I'm celebrating with red wine, okay? And of course, you already know that there's certain cups I use. I have that Bruce Wayne energy right now. We're gonna decode some shit. Cheers to all of you. And I'm gonna tell you this right now. Everything that you're hearing online, okay? The same way you are a character, everything that you're hearing online comes down to pass me down or where they got this information from. Now, like I said before, there's things that you may hear, and if you're actually processing it, okay, and start to figure it out for yourself based on what you've heard as a mirror and a version of yourself, because that's why you'll hear that when the student is ready, the guru will appear. But the guru is not a person separate to you. It is actually you. It's just that you got on the frequency of master, so the guru appeared, but the guru ain't bigger than you, right? The guru is not bigger than you. See, this is the religious mindset people have. When you gotta keep going back for more, that's that religious mindset. And we're in a religious world because you keep coming back to humanity to some extent. This is gonna come down to all the things that people actually polarize to as ideas, and then we want to argue about them online, further strengthening the illusion of this reality that you exist in. Okay? I've made examples before about how are you actually going somewhere, or are things actually coming to you? Because if you got to look at it from this angle, are you actually walking, or is the world under you moving? Is the world under your feet moving? All right? You're stationed in one place, right? And the world under you is moving under your feet. So things can actually come to you, but based on a frequency determines the direction that you take. The same way I just said, the guru will appear when the student is ready, but the guru is not separate to you. God consciousness or Christ consciousness, okay, is shifting your awareness, okay? But you gotta understand, this whole reality that people saying a new world awaits, and where they just keeps you thinking of something separate to you. It is not separate to you. You just shift your awareness, shift your consciousness, and you'll experience what it is that you want to experience, because it's all you. You are that which you seek. So once you shift your awareness and your consciousness, the right people, places, and things will come to you. But you are a collection of everything that you've came in contact with in your life, even the bad shit. These are what we call triggers. So there's certain things about certain people that may trigger you. Why? Because it's in you. You collected that. However, since society deemed it unacceptable, it became a shadow aspect of yourself. But in actuality, it is you. It's in you. That because it triggers you, it has to be in you. So it's not like you say, oh, that pisses me off about that person. You point the finger because you're only pointing at something about yourself. So you're actually hurting yourself, right? Everything comes down to modification. we once built the pyramid a certain way, came down to modification. We modified our way of doing things, and we call it lost ancient civilizations or lost ancient technology. The technology is here and now. We shifted our awareness, all right, to something we created in the image of man, the same way man was created in the image of God. Your awareness is now deep-rooted into this human form. So much so that you think you have to eat, because a lot of people don't even know when they have to eat. You don't know when you have to eat. You think you have to eat because you're programmed to think you have to have breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Oh, I think I have to eat now, so I'm going to eat, because you're living up here and not in the lower realms, because you're not present with the body. The body is a projection of the world that you're experiencing it. Most importantly, centralized in the heart. This is why when you die, they say that your heart gets weighed against the scales of Ma'at. And it's not because of physical, like let's say a physical thing. It's how much attachments do you have to this reality. You can experience this. Have a great time. Build your character like you're playing a video game. But it's not anything separate to you. There's no world that awaits you. Shift your awareness and consciousness. All right? This is why when you listen to information, don't look at it as something separate to you. Look at it as something that you are. Why did that information even come into your existence to begin with? People talk about how the algorithms are controlled. You control the algorithm with your mind. So people, places, and things, including certain things about the computers, will present themselves to you. I was hearing a piece by, what's his name? I'll link it in the description of this video. But somebody said that they made an experiment, a French guy, I don't know what position he had, but observed a pair of a few chickens, a couple of hatchlings, right? And there was a robot that was actually in the pen with these chickens. And then the chickens, upon looking at this robot, imprinted this robot as their mom and wielded this robot instead. And the robot was actually floating randomly in the pen with these chickens. But miraculously, somehow, the chickens wielded this robot to stay with them through the process of imprinting. And that's something called psychokinesis. And this is just a robot. So you have the ability to create your reality with your mind, right? And the whole thing is that I've made the video with the reptilian shape-shifting and whatnot, where the world is actually molding and shaping to your reality. So you are actually experiencing the reptilian side of you every time that you see your world inverted inside out, what you're seeing outside of you. So you control those algorithms. Because the same way these chickens, these baby chickens, wielded this robot to stay with them through the process of psychokinesis, you think that these algorithms are being monitored by the government, or that these things outside are there reading your mind, and you put yourself in a disempowered state. I mean, the things you're told, and I made a video about the vampire energy, it's just rice, Michael. And upon him telling him, how are those maggots, Michael? Maggots, you're eating maggots, right? And it was just a cup of rice. But upon him telling him how are those maggots, he looked and it was just maggots. He dropped it in fear, and then he saw the rice on the floor. He's like, it's just no hard feelings. It was just rice, right? How about some noodles? He showed him the noodles, right? And he showed him the noodles and they were worms. He's like, it's just, you know, they're not worms, but it's a mind fuckery. That's all it is. But the thing is, since you're not aware of yourself, you start to lose yourself. And we are actually in a meditative state every day. You're in meditation every single day. The thing is, you have no self-awareness. And let me get to this part. This is actually very important. What you consume, okay, molds and shapes your reality. If you're weak-minded especially, it will mold and shape your reality. And you have collected. Consciousness is a virus. Keep in mind, I said viral videos get attention, right? Based on how juicy and saucy or how attractive it is. And attractive doesn't necessarily mean it's a good thing. Attractive can mean negativity too. Because negativity is dramatic. drama, negative energy. But the feminine energy is also attractive, which is why we say women are attractive, right? So it doesn't mean that something bad or good determines if something is attractive or not, okay? It's just the frequency and the energy that it is. However, there's always going to be that cause and effect if you believe in it that far in this physical realm, okay? So consciousness is a virus, right? Consciousness is a virus. So let's say, for example, these viral videos, all right? These viral videos get all this attention, all right? You put all this attention into the conspiracy theory side of things. You collect all this information. You start to hear certain things. It molds and shapes your reality because you buy into it, okay? But in your purest form, because it also goes by desires and whatnot, and again, desires, grudges, because it's not, look, desires necessarily isn't a bad thing, right? You could have a desire to be great, to be the best, right? But that's just buying into this physicality. Nothing wrong with it. But keep in mind, knowing who and what you are. So if there's things online in the form of, because light is information, right? Light is information, and light is attractive too. That's why moths and flies and mosquitoes attract to light. Now, humans love information too. They're very attracted to information. But the people that you listen to online are presenting themselves like a priest, all right? Like something higher to you. And you feel like you got to keep looking at that information because religion keeps making you keep coming back for more, right? Now, there's people who tell you that information, but they put out 4 or 5 videos a day, right? In other words, encouraging you to listen to them because they're not doing it for themselves. They're doing it to get views, right? Because there's been points where they've mentioned that their viewerships have gone down and whatnot. I do my videos for views. But the point of me doing this work is to inform the people to pay attention to themselves and not necessarily fall in love with the information that the person is giving you. And kind of fall in love with yourself unconditionally. Now, here's the thing, though. And I forgot where the fuck I was getting with that. Give me 1 second. I don't know. I don't know where I was going with that, but it doesn't really matter. See, I started thinking. That's a fucking problem. Cheers. So viral information. I was talking about viral information. You're a collection of all this that you have experienced in your life. Here's where I was getting with that. I had to wait till I had to calm down and let it surface up. But pay very close attention to this. Viruses is the key to this entire thing. I'm gonna make this disclaimer. I'm giving you my opinions. I'm not a doctor, okay? So do your own research. None of my stuff is backed up by medical science or medical claims. I'm giving you my opinions online. Plus, these videos are journals for me. I've made this very clear in many of my videos, okay? Viruses are responsible for the evolution of the species here that you are even as a human. What's the point, though, of evolving this human form, though, right? When we talk about Christ came into sin, okay? And evil is inversion. We have to start to look at things like Ready Player One. The game was played backwards, and that's how he won, okay? We're going into the past when we think we're going into the future. The pyramids were once built. Lost ancient civilizations built this advanced technology, yet we're going into the future not knowing how that was built and not being able to replicate it, right? So we're going into the past. But why is that? Through modification, right? So now what you're consuming made you this human vessel in the form of mind viruses. You evolved, or you can de-evolve based on who and what you are. not remembering. Shift your awareness away from the things outside of you and redirect it back to yourself. And you will start to see that these things are they're gonna make sense. Make sense through common senses. Because all the other senses kick in, which are we call extrasensory perceptions, once we start to use the common senses. But common sense is not too common anymore, right? Scientific studies makes you super lazy because you'll hear things and you'll do research and you will buy into the research done, and it makes you lazy because you don't think anymore. You're like, no, this is a scientific fact. There's meta-analysis. All this was presented by scientists outside of me. You have to put all your faith and trust in that. Modern day religion. So now, if everything you have collected was through information, okay, things that you're consuming as far as food goes, plus the fact that when you come into this realm, you have to get vaccinated, 72 vaccines just to participate in society. And again, I'm not a medical doctor. I'm not telling you to get vaccinated or not. You do what you want. I am only making journals for myself, and these are based on my opinions only, okay? But you are forced to take vaccines because you were forced through the pandemic as well, okay? So why is this? Why such a big push on that? So you start to go back now. Why did they make you do that when you're a child, just to go to school and participate in society? What is it about it? What are we blocking ourselves from? All modification. How do you know that you're not supposed to come in contact with these viruses in order for you to not forget who and what you are? Because these viruses are you. These viruses, they're just dead. They're not alive, but they need a host to survive and thrive, right? So however, what's happening here is you're getting something laboratory, man-made, all right, to basically put you in a hypnosis state or change your brain waves or your heart rate frequency, because it's not just the brain waves, but there's a heart-brain coherence. Maybe there's a disconnect. This is why supposedly we say we can't remember who and what we are, right? But how do you know you're not supposed to come in contact with these viruses that we call the flu, short for the word influenza, which came from the word influence of the stars? We watch and map out the stars, we call astrology, to map and influence our reality, right? So that's why people say, well, if the stars align and the stars are right, you know, things are going to be perfect for you, right? Well, okay. Well, we're blocking ourselves by putting something into us that's laboratory made. So there's a big push on veganism. There's a big push on genetically modified foods, where, let's say, for example, the same way if you have a weak mind and you buy into the information you listen to online and it's molded and shaped your reality, or not even online, just the people around your environment, right? And you now become that, even hold the triggers, which will be the shadow aspects of yourself, to mold and shape your reality, because you forget who and what you are by actually collecting all this outside of you, which you can use as a tool, but you have to be able to drop it. Because when you die, this all leaves you. All the information you collected leaves you. But when you have knowledge of self, all right, or direct your awareness to self, because what happens when you're meditating? You don't want to fall asleep. If you lose consciousness, you fall asleep. But if you go into a meditation, a deep meditation, and you're aware, it's a totally different ballgame. So you're in this realm and you lose consciousness. This is why people say, oh, that person's conscious or that person's woke. It's not how much information you know outside. That shit leaves you when you die, right? And when you die, where do you go? Do you go anywhere? Where's your awareness? Where's your focus? Where's the attention to self? Since there was no attention, flows where energy goes, right? So when you die and you haven't energized yourself through attention, then you cease to exist. And what you go to would be what you thought was more real than you. Not knowing that the Most High, we would call the sun, is there even because of you. The people in power, the government, superstars, celebrities, billionaires are there because of you. They wouldn't even exist if you weren't fucking paying attention to them. So social media has become a tool to put you in a very deep hypnotic state. And it's also used to have you desire certain things. Nothing wrong with that. But how do you control these things without actually controlling them? So Now, when we start to eat genetically modified foods, your body is the mind, right? And food is information. So when you're eating of the earth, planting your own food with no chemicals, not even fertilizers, just let the earth process even your compost. Let's say if we eat genetically modified foods, the fact that I make compost, the earth purifies that compost. Whatever genetically modified foods they were, now converts into something organic. So it's totally different, right? So you keep eating these genetically modified foods, your body becomes so genetically modified to the point that you don't even know what gender you are, right? If you're that weak. But you may have a stronger mind. But when you have children, you may pass down some form of genetic weaknesses, and maybe your child will come out not knowing what gender they are. So we got this big attention now on transgenderism and whatnot, which I'll make another video on. But think about this. You're not even a human, right? You're not even a human. But a desire to like the same sex, okay? How do we know it's not just as bad as one sex liking the opposite sex? We start to talk about how we are actually fallen angels, and these fallen angels fell in love with the daughters of man, but you ain't man. So you create an abomination. You start to develop these minors now, these kids, the goats, which should be your teachers to some extent, right? The Baphomet goat, the kids, they're minors. The Anunnaki breeded these humans for gold mining, which are called gold miners. Who the fuck are the Nephilim? Who the fuck are the giants? Who the fuck are the fallen angels? And what would they be without your awareness? Even though they do, there's a very, very big existence of these things that don't even require your attention and awareness. Okay? But the fact that they're in your consciousness, they are you. If I am getting played by somebody, I could just pick up on that, right? But where's that coming from? I see right through that person, but it ain't gonna be seen with these. You see it with this. So you see right through you. What's the intuition, that gut feeling you get from something? That's your stomach, because it's a brain. So when you're eating certain foods, okay, they genetically modify you from the inside out, the same way we observe our reality from the inside out. So when you get these vaccines, right, that's the jab. When you eat your food through this motherfucking pie hole, which is a vagina, okay, you are downloading that chemistry. No different than if a woman lets a man fuck her, she is downloading that dude into her world. And this is why in a relationship, if you know yourself, you become one. My other half. But you don't know yourself, so you attract to somebody who doesn't know themselves too. And then you always have friction. So you're technically the same thing like two men who have to lubricate, because it's not an organic chemistry. We'll talk soon.